NBC4 Investigates just obtained some newly unsealed documents. Our investigative reporter Eric Leonard first broke the story back in September. He's been reading through those court documents and joins us live with what we know about her so far. Eric, and there's some shocking things in that filing.
Certainly unsettling. And it was a court hearing in Texas that has given us insight into this case that we ordinarily would never see here in Southern California. And that's because the investigation is still wrapped up in a secret grand jury investigation into the teen's death. These documents out of Texas say it is a case, that the pop singer is the target or suspect, and that the girl's remains were found in a horrific state.
So after all this time, you mean to tell me that we're finally going to get justice, hopefully for Celeste, because the court documents came out and we finally know exactly how she was found in the Tesla? We've always wondered. Stay tuned, Fugitive TV. Welcome to Fugitive TV. I am your host, Ray Marcel, where we take a look at cases and we take a look at them from a different perspective, because I was once a fugitive on the run from the law myself. I did it for 15 years. I lived in different countries under different names. And now what I do is I try and help other people solve crimes, locate missing people, and I try and do it from a different perspective, because a lot of channels and a lot of people you see, especially news media, they bring out ex-detectives and anybody in law, but you hardly see anybody who was on the other side of the fence trying to help solve crime. So that's what I'm doing, okay? Well, what we are going to get back into is David and Celeste. Now, if you're not familiar with this situation, this happened way back in September. So for the people who are not familiar with who David and Celeste is, I'm going to give you a quick rundown because the story's been very interesting, okay?
Tonight, more than a week after a body was found inside an impounded Tesla registered to the singer who goes by the stage name David, Los Angeles investigators identifying the remains as Celeste Rivas, the same girl who was reported missing last year, according to the Riverside County Sheriff's Office. Police first found the decomposed body on September 8th after being called to a Hollywood tow yard because of a foul odor coming from the Tesla, which was impounded after a person reported the car abandoned. Law enforcement sources say the remains were not intact, and according to the medical examiner, it appeared the girl, who is described as having wavy black hair and weighing about 71 pounds, had been inside the Tesla for an extended period of time.
David is a singer. He goes by, and David is spelled D4D. So DV, the number 4 and D. That's the way he spells his name. He's a singer out of Texas, but has been living in California in the last few years. Now, I believe he's 21 years old. And what happened was a young girl named Celeste went missing. Now, Celeste at the time was only, I believe, I have to remember because it's been so long ago. This happened way back in September. When she went missing, I believe at first she was 13. Well, she was on missing flyers, reports, and everything, right? Well, David's Tesla, he had a Model X Tesla, got impounded pretty much from almost in front of his house. He lived in Hollywood Hills. Once his car got impounded, it got taken to a tow yard, where at the tow yard, they smelled a foul odor coming from it, okay? So they immediately called the police. Police came and they opened up the car, opened up the frunk, and then they found Celeste inside the frunk, okay? Well, when reports first came out, they said that she was decomposed. They said decapitated. They said all kind of things. TMZ came out like a month or 2 months later, said she was frozen when they found her, which I didn't know. That didn't really make sense because it was in the middle of, it was in LA the first week of September, which is still hot out. So I didn't get that. And not only that, they said the Tesla, before it got picked up by the tow company, was actually sitting there for a couple weeks or 3 weeks. That's why they told it, because they figured it was abandoned. I did a whole breakdown. So if you want to go look at all that, go look at my David and Celeste videos. I did a whole breakdown. I showed you the house. I even showed you that the Tesla was even on Google Maps. If you go to Google Maps and look up the address, yeah, the Tesla's sitting right there. So I did a whole breakdown on this, okay? I reached out to people that lived in Celeste's neighborhood. I spoke with them. Well, just to make this quick, short, and simple, people always wondered exactly how Celeste was found. Well, court documents came out today that tells us exactly how she was found, okay? Exactly how. Now, David is still not arrested for this. There's a grand jury going on right now, okay? And remember, folks, this happened back in September. There's a grand jury going on right now to try and convict him, okay? A first degree M, unaliving. YouTube, we can't say the M word, especially when your channel's smaller like mine. So while this girl was missing, she was supposedly hanging out with David, okay? There's videos, there's pictures, there's proof that she was with David, all right? Now remember, this girl is a minor. She's only 13 years old. I don't even think she was 14 at the time. I even did background searches and I even went way back. He started talking to her when she was 11 years old on Fortnite. So when David was around 17 going on 18, he started talking to her when she was only 11. All right. So you're going to see some news media say it's his girlfriend. She was too young to be his girlfriend. He was more like kidnapping her almost, or you want to say grooming her. That's pretty much what the title should be. But he took her in when she was missing. Now here's the part if you don't know about this. The family knew that she was with David, okay? I have sources that told me before the family knew. Matter of fact, they were getting benefits from David, all right? They were getting benefits from him. So this girl was supposedly missing. She's on a missing poster, but she's really not missing because the family knew. And David's also paying kids off at the school she was going to, so they don't say anything, all right? Well, this whole time we've been wondering, why has David not went to jail? What is going on? Well, today, people, we are close and close to him being charged. Finally. So what I'm going to do right now is read this document to you so you can see exactly how they found her in the Tesla. So there's no more speculation. This is what they said. So here's the official court documents. The people of the state of California versus David Burke, who is, of course, David, D4de. And we're going to skip the beginning of this as just some penal codes, and we're going to get right down to what everybody wants to hear, okay? It says a grand jury investigations is currently pending at the Los Angeles County Superior Court. Then it tells you where the court is at, okay? It is alleged in this case that the target may be involved in, which is the unaliving of Celeste. And then it tells you Celeste Rivas Hernandez. It also gives you her age, who may have been a victim of foul play. May have been, well, we're going to get into this and you guys can decide may have been. Her severely decomposed and dismembered body was found in the front of the target's, who is David's, Tesla on September 8th, 2025. On September 8, 2025, at approximately 10:30 hours, Los Angeles Police Department detectives received a phone call from the manager of Hollywood Area Official Police Garage. The manager stated a black Tesla Model X had been impounded as an abandoned vehicle by the Department of Transportation on September 5th. So 3 days prior, okay? The manager told police that there was a strong smell of decay coming from the vehicle, which was attracting flies. So the manager, they already knew that something in the vehicle was dying. They knew, right? If you ever smelt it before, you know exactly what it smells like. So detectives responded to the Hollywood tow yard to investigate. Detectives approached the vehicle, which was parked on the upper deck of the impound lot. Immediately noticed a smell of decaying biological material, consistent with a decomposing corpse coming from the front storage compartment of the vehicle. Detectives obtained a search warrant for the vehicle, and when the front storage compartment was open, detectives observed a black cadaver bag covered with insects and a strong odor of decay. Now, I know some people are probably wondering what a cadaver bag is. I'm actually going to show you guys what exactly a cadaver bag is, just in case you're wondering, all right? I'm going to show you right after I get done reading this. Utilizing black latex gloves, detectives partially unzipped the bag, observed a decomposed head and torso. So it was just her head and torso in the bag, okay? Investigators from the Los Angeles County Department of Medical Examiner responded to the tow yard to process the body, the decomposed body. Upon removing the cadaver bag from the front storage compartment, it was discovered the arms and legs had been severed from the body because it was just the head and torso, right? A second black bag was discovered underneath the cadaver bag. Okay? So a second black bag was underneath the cadaver bag. Upon opening the second bag, the dismembered body parts were discovered. So the second bag were the legs and the arms. Detectives were advised that on August 26, 2025, a citizen reported the above mentioned Tesla as abandoned, which vehicle parked across from, and then it tells you where it was parked from. Okay. Department of Transportation officers responded to the Bluebird and marketed the vehicle on September 3rd, 2025. Department of Transportation returned to the vehicle and issued a citation. On September 5th, 2025, Department of Transportation impounded the vehicle to the Hollywood tow area. Okay. Then it tells you where David was living at, and pretty much everything else. Okay. It tells you that California and my other state through which he may be required to pass by the ordinary course of travel to attend said proceedings shall give him protection from the arrest and service of precedent. So this is basically for his dad. Okay, so this is basically saying his dad fighting the charges right here, or not charges, but fighting him testifying against his son. All right, which we're going to get into that.
Those documents say David, whose legal name is David Burke, is the target of that case. Rivas Hernandez's remains were found in September when the Tesla registered to Burke was impounded. These new court records say Rivas Hernandez was found dismembered in the front trunk of the car, her remains in 2 different bags. Rivas Hernandez was last seen alive in 2024, and our law enforcement sources have told NBC4 Investigates they believe she died sometime in the spring of 2025. And again, the reason this became public now is because Burke's mother, father, and brother filed a legal challenge to those subpoenas for their testimony and tried unsuccessfully to get a judge in Texas to block the enforcement of the LA County court order.
So just like the media reported when this first happened, she was decomposing, of course. And not only that, 2 separate bags. 2 separate bags. All right. One, it said, it didn't say, I didn't see if the other one said a cadaver bag, but the first one was a cadaver bag. You guys know what a cadaver bag is? A cadaver bag pretty much is a body bag. That's pretty much what it is. You know how they bring the black bag out and they zip it up? That's pretty much what a cadaver bag is. So David got his hands on a body bag and put the torso and the head in that bag, and then had her everything else in the rest of the other bag underneath that bag, allegedly. So, and not only that, there's an investigator named Steve Fisher, very good private investigator. Okay. He was hired by so the house David was living in was not his house. It was actually a rented house. The house was being rented by David's manager. Okay. David wasn't renting the house. David's manager was. David was just living there. So when they left the house because they had a mutual agreement once the owner found out what was going on. Okay. This is Hollywood Hills, multi-million-dollar house. So they had to leave. He hired Steve Fisher, who's a private investigator. Steve Fisher went around and found all kind of evidence. So David supposedly bought a bird, a cage, actually, not a bird cage, but a cage where you can pretty much disintegrate anything in this cage. All right. Cremate anybody, anything in this cage. That's how hot this cage gets. It's called a burn cage. And Steve was like, why would David need a burn cage at his personal residence? There was some sort of chopping equipment there. All kind of equipment was at the house that was actually left behind. Now, this equipment was actually left behind even after law enforcement went and searched the house. Law enforcement did go inside and search the house when David was still living there. Okay. But left all this other stuff behind. So we don't know exactly what happened and why they left it behind, why they didn't take it for evidence. Maybe they didn't think they needed it. Who knows? Okay. We're watching police and law enforcement mess up the Nancy Guthrie situation in real time right now. We're watching it in real time. So we know for a fact that law can mess things up. So did they mess this up too? We don't know. Is this why it's taking so long to charge David? Because we're all waiting for it. Now, the only one who seems to really be fighting for Celeste's justice, all right, is Steve Fisher, who is a private investigator, and us people who are on social media. Her family has spoke none whatsoever. They said not one word, zitch. Only thing they did was put up a GoFundMe. That was it. All right. Is it because the family feels guilty? Because they knew exactly where Celeste was? I don't know. I can't answer that. Only they can. But we finally know exactly what happened with her. All right. So now we're just going to wait. Now, David's family was supposed to come and testify in front of the grand jury, who's his mom and dad, and I think another member of the family. Well, they're fighting that. They are fighting that. One of the reasons that they're saying is David's dad is saying that he doesn't want to go testify. In simpler terms, he should not have to go testify because he needs to know exactly why he's testifying. Because in the court documents, there's a lot of stuff that's been blacked out. You can't see it all. Well, he wants to see everything before he testifies. So he's fighting that aspect of it, okay? David also has friends that are supposed to be testifying in grand jury, all right? One of them is Neo the Asian, who he has a lot of pictures with. And a lot of people suspect that Neo the Asian is actually David's secret lover. A lot of people think that David's bi or whatever it is. And they think Neo the Asian has something to do with it. Well, Neo actually was hiding out in, I think it was Idaho, correct me if I'm wrong, but Idaho. And he got arrested in Idaho because he never showed up to grand jury. All right. He got arrested, never showed up. But there's people not showing up to the grand jury, maybe because they don't want to tell on David or maybe tell on themselves. Who knows? But can we finally see justice, for Celeste? If you have been following the story from the go, let me know. I know there's a couple of you out there that have been following the story. All right. Since, following me actually and start subbing or looking at my videos since then. All right. Well, if you're just now hearing about this, let me know. Go look it up. Like I said, look at some of my old videos. It's very interesting of all the people who were involved in Celeste. Everybody involved with Celeste failed her. Everybody, the family. I said it. David, of course, everybody felt her. Maybe even Law. We don't know. But hopefully we get justice soon. Please like and subscribe. Okay. Fugitive TV. Share this station. Share this channel. Also, comment below what city, state, where you're watching from, country. I try and reply back to everybody that I can, okay? If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much. We're approaching 25K subs within the last 8 months. It has been great. I can't believe it. It's been fantastic. Thank you so much. The merch is down below. The Ray Marcel collection merch with Fugitive TV on the back. You will also see Fugitive TV hoodies, tote bags. I got more stuff coming soon, all right? So stay tuned. Fugitive TV, take care of one another, all right? Look out for your surroundings. Until next time, I'm out.